I do want to kind of take a deeper dive into this fascinating conversation about the difference between a field versus a profession. Mm-hmm. And one of your arguments is that the CSR, and by the way, where did the S go on that? But is that the CR field is better developed than the CR profession?
Right.
Okay. Before we get into that, where did the S go?
Well, I think that's one of the things that is often debated are, the terms, sustainability, CSR, corporate responsibility. We've chosen to drop the S because a lot of people have conflated CSR with philanthropy. And so when we use that term corporate responsibility, we mean minimizing the negative impact of business while maximizing the positive. So we look at it very holistically. We're not just narrowly talking about philanthropy.
Why not just call it external affairs management then?
You could. I think this specifically relates to sort of that balancing the trade-offs between your triple bottom line type obligations.
So you still got that moral component in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about what is the difference between a field versus a profession?
Sure. So if you think about finance as a field, as an example, there are lots of concepts, methods, and strategies that are part of the finance field that anyone can use. You don't have to be a practicing CFO or an accountant to be well-versed in the field of finance. There are a subset of people who use those methods and practices to make a living, and that's what we would call a profession or a member of the professional class in that field. Like if you look at doctors and lawyers as an example, and accountants, is that their loyalty lies more with their profession than it does with the company. And you can know that accounting statements are true and accurate because an accountant had to sign off on them, and the accountant holds their CPA at risk if there's something wrong with those financial statements. A doctor won't perform certain procedures because of his or her Hippocratic oath. That doesn't exist for a CRO. A CRO can't rely on the profession and doesn't necessarily have a greater responsibility to the profession than they do to their employer.
Define the attributes of the field here.
Of the field or of the
profession? Sorry.
So the professional is. What we did is we talked to a number of our CRO respondents rather, and asked them what makes them successful and what they think are the necessary attributes to make somebody successful. There's a full list of them in the report, but I would just highlight two or three of them. You need to be courageous, willing to put yourself out there at least inside of the company and advocate for what for the field and for the profession. You need to be well versed in using influence as opposed to real power, because a CRO oftentimes is not directly responsible in the line of business, but has a great deal of influence and is invited to the table to lots of different discussions. May not have a large budget, but still has a lot of influence. And you need to be very self-starting, very proactive, and used to operating on your own.
Okay, I really shouldn't do this, but I got to tell you, you read this list of attributes: courageous, decisive, ethical, innovative, logical, open-minded, organized, perceptive, proactive, process-focused, qualified, self-reliant, versatile. Mm-hmm. And you know who comes to mind for me as the perfect job candidate or the ideal corporate responsibility officer?
Who?
Superman or Wonder Woman. except for maybe the process-focused part.
Right.